Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have Djibouti hosts the fifth ministerial meeting of the African Initiative on Renewable Energy. Norway inaugurates largest floating wind farm. Welcome to our newsroom. It is Wednesday, August 13, 2022. Good evening and welcome to our newsroom. President Gelle denounces the push in Gabon. The President of the Republic, current President of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, condemns with the greatest virulence the coup of state perpetrated in Gabon, where men in uniform declared having put end to the constitutional orders established in this country. The head of state calls for the restoration of the Gabonese state institutions and the preservation of the physical and moral integrity of President Ali Bongo Ondimba. President Gelle reiterates his attachment to democratic values and the sovereignty of the people, the only people authorized to bring the Pope to power through the ballot box, the leaders of their choice. The President of the Republic finally denounces the recurrence in recent years in Africa of the push, which are often counterproductive to the interests and development of the people. Under the patronage of the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf Property, the Albacetia Institute organized a meeting on promoting the values of tolerance and moderation within society at the Institute headquarters. This event brought together, in addition to the Minister, the Director General of the Institute, Mr. Al-Saleh Ahmed Abdallah, the President of the League of Arab Private Schools, Mr. Abdurrahman Abdi Ahmed, and the President of the Quranic Centers, Mr. Abdullah Hassan Aden. This meeting was an opportunity for the various stakeholders in Islamic education in Djibouti to come together and discuss the promotions of the values of tolerance and moderation within society. The Minister's announcement of the creation of scholarships for graduates of these private Islamic schools was one of the highlights of the event. These scholarships will enable students to pursue their higher studies at the renowned partners institutions such as Al-Azhar University in Egypt. The Albacetia Institute will be the central elements of this educational initiative, offering continuing training to managers of Quranic centers and teachers of private schools. The primary objective is to consolidate the learning of the values of moderation and tolerance during the school curriculum. The participants warmly welcomed this laudable initiative and expressed their gratitude to the Minister for this encouraging starting point. Speaking, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Momin Hassan Barre, underlined the crucial role played by educational and religious institutions in transmitting these values to the younger generation. These principles, rooted at the heart of Islam, constitute the essential foundations for building a united and prosperous society. The Minister recalled the importance of collaboration between the different institutions for the success of this initiative. He noted that this synergistic approach is part of the vision of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, aiming to promote cohesion, solidarity, social harmony. Under the aegis of the Minister of Energy, the fifth ministerial meeting of the African Initiative on Renewable Energy opened today at the Djibouti Palace Kempinski. This is the first of its kind in the Republic of Djibouti, brought together high-level participants, including members of the government, experts, investors, and major players in the energy sector from all the member countries of this organization, which is dedicated to the promotions and development of renewable energies on the continent. Other participants also took part in this meeting by video conference. In his speech at this meeting, the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Yunus Ali Geddi, expressed his warm thanks for the choice of our country to host the work of the meeting For the first time, ministers of the African Initiative on Renewable Energy, as a reminder, this fifth ministerial meeting is part of the preparations of the next meeting of the Board of Directors of the African Renewable Energy Initiative scheduled in New York next September on the sidelines of the United Nations Summit. The African Renewable Energy Initiative is a significant African-led and African-owned effort to accelerate and scale up the domestications of the continent's enormous renewable energy potential. For his part, the Minister of Energy recalled in his speech that the Republic of Djibouti has always supported all the initiatives emanating from Africa in general, and this initiative on renewable energy in particular, because the objectives pursued by it are perfectly aligned with the national energy objectives. As a reminder, this fifth ministerial meeting is part of the preparations of the next meeting of the Board of Directors of the African Renewable Energy Initiative scheduled in New York next September on the sidelines of the United Nations Summit. An expert communication consultant, Ms. Lala Adjaraton, has indicated that the African Renewable Energy Initiative is a significant Africa-led and African-owned effort to accelerate and scale up the domestications of the continent's enormous renewable energy potential. The Saudi school organized an event dedicated to the delivery of books and programs to Arab private schools for the 2023-2024 academic year. The award ceremony took place under the patronage of the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of the Custodian of the two Holy Mosques, the director of the Saudi school, the director of the private education at the Ministry of National Education, and the professional trainings, and the president of the associations of the Arab schools of civil society of Djibouti, as well as the directors and members of the teaching staff of Arab schools. The Chargé d'Affaires of the Saudi Embassy, Mr. Faisal bin Abdul Hadi Al-Qataibi, held a meeting with the delegations of the Ministry of Education and the associations of Arab schools. During this meeting, the two sides discussed ways to strengthen these efforts in the field of education. This initiative was welcomed by officials of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the associations of the Arab private schools in the countries, who highlighted its tangible importance in meeting the needs of Arab schools in our country. For his part, the director of the Saudi school, Dr. Hassan bin Ali, highlighted the importance. Dr. Yasser Al-Shamiri, the director of Najah School, said that the importance of this cause, which reflects the depth of the strategic relationship that exists between the Republic of Djibouti and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This step represents an expansion of the educational cooperation program between Djibouti and Saudi Arabia, which is an important partner of our country in promoting Arab education, and approximately 5,000 students, men and women, from various Arab educational institutions of Djibouti benefit from it. The Gadile Hotel Resort hosted a meeting of the Regional Migrants Coordination Committee and the IGAD Country Migrations Consultative Process. The conference is dedicated to human mobility in the context of disasters and climate change in IGAD member countries. Objective: reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climate hazards and improve migration governance by strengthening the adaptive capacities and resilience of populations and natural ecosystems. The Republic of Djibouti plays a crucial role in geopolitics, climate and environmental diplomacy. The Djibouti government has been committed for several years to integrating climate change and migration into its development plans, Vision Djibouti 2023, and the National Development Plans, PND 2020-2024. The meeting was attended by the delegates from IGAD member countries.
through the global project of GIZ on human mobility in the context of climate change, but also the collaboration of all of these under the multi-partner trust fund, have we actually been working to create an evidence base through modeling on slow onset one and on sudden onset disasters and the effects it has on human mobility. I feel this is a very important step to the linkage between the two and not having parallel conversations. The other thing that we have also in the IGAD region, not because Abdi Hersi has already put all the done the global part, on the Free Movement of Persons Protocol, which I hope will be ratified very soon by all countries, but the Article 16, which I think also Professor Kanin has a very big input on that article.
Now listen to the officer of the IGAD for more details.
Of human mobility to, from, and within the IGAD region reflect the range of complex drivers and structural factors that may compel people to leave their places of origin. The relationship between climate change and migration is complex, but there is no longer any argument that climate is playing a key role in altering patterns of migration. IOM promotes a holistic approach to the challenges and opportunities of migration in the context of climate change, in alignment with the commitments made in the Global Compact on Migration, the Paris Agreement, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction.
As was already indicated, we have a very long-standing partnership with IGAD. No reason to repeat everything. Madam Fatia mentioned some of the occasions where we work together, but I would like to use this opportunity to really express my deep appreciation and thanks for this excellent partnership built on trust, built on very constructive cooperation over so many years, and we stand ready to continue this kind of partnership. Of course, human mobility in the context of disasters and climate change is a huge challenge. Previous speakers have addressed that. I don't need to repeat. But, of course, what we are doing here today, tomorrow, and when you're going back to our work is trying to address that challenge. And to be able to do that, we need quite a lot of things.
For his part, Colonel Abdul Qadir Ibrahim Gona, head of the National Coordination Mechanisms of the Republic of Djibouti, indicate that the objective is to reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climate hazards and improve migration governance by strengthening adaptive capacity and resilient populations and natural ecosystems. The Republic of Djibouti plays a crucial role in geopolitics, climate and environmental diplomacy under the far-sighted policy of our President, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, current President of IGAD. The Djibouti government has been committed for several years to integrating climate change and migration into its development plan Vision Djibouti 2035 and the National Development Plan PND 2020-2024. This commitment is partly achieved through implementation of the National Strategy on Migration and Climate Change, the objective of which is to reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climatic hazards and improve migration governance by strengthening the adaptive capacities and resilience of populations and natural ecosystems, the establishment of a national strategy for disastrous risk management and the National Adaptations Action Plan (PANA) in 2006, the development of a national strategy on climate change in 2018. And now listen to the Director of Health and Development of IGAD, Fathiya Abubakar Alwan.
Regional consultative process on migration called RCP, which now the focus on the team is on human mobility in the context of disaster and climate change here in this beautiful city of Tanjora of the Republic of Djibouti. For many of you delegates, I am aware that this is your first time, that also you are visiting this part of Djibouti and the region. But also, as you know, this region is the busiest migrants corridor in Eastern Horn of Africa, and also I'm sure that yesterday you were witnesses during your journey to this city in Tajora. You have witnessed delegates and partners, the pastoralists and communities who are highly dependent on the weather, but also vulnerable to the climate change. But also you have been witnesses, the group of migrants from our region transiting through this corridor and also going to the Gulf countries in the search of better opportunity. And what we know is that most of these migrants encounter significant risk related to the protection and also the human smuggling and trafficking. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as also you may recall, your organization, the IGAD, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, with a double T, not one T, was actually created in 1986 to coordinate the efforts of its member states in combating desertification and also promoting efforts to mitigate the effects of drought.
The management of the Institute of Diplomatic Studies is pleased to inform you that the registrations for languages courses English, Amharic, Chinese, French, and Turkish for the 2023 academic year will be open until September 13. And to Ali Sabih, the fight against smuggling continues and intensifies. Members of the Custom Brigade, in close collaboration with the police detachment of the Ali Sabih region, intercepted a large shipment of smuggled cat from Ethiopia yesterday at the Galilee border. The seized goods consisted of 26 cat-kilo cat collie, whose total weight was estimated at 2,600 kilograms of cat. According to the standards procedures in force, this quantity was transmitted to the Customs Brigade and destroyed on site in the presence of the head of the Ali Sabih Custom Brigade, Muhammad Mumin Hassan. Knowing that smuggling is a scourge that harms the economy of our countries, it is therefore up to each citizen to lead a fierce fight to put an end to this illicit trade. The National Police would like to reassure the population that its operational unit will ensure their protection and security day and night through the national territory. For the international scene, the mayor of New York authorizes the outdoor broadcasting of the call to prayers in the city's mosques on Fridays and at iftar times during Ramadan, starting that Islam, like Christianity, Judaism, and other religions, is one of the important elements of New York culture, and that mosques have been of great help in the fight against crimes and illegal immigrants. We are determined to give you the recognition you deserve, said the mayor of New York. Norway inaugurates the largest floating wind farm. The world's largest floating wind farm has officially opened off the west coast of Norway. A fossil fuel giant Equinor is behind the massive high wind Tampere farm, which with a capacity of 88 megawatt will produce energy to power nearby oil and gas platforms. This project uses a new technology to anchor 11 giant turbines to the seabed. Equinor partnered with other oil companies, KMW and VAR Energy, for the construction of the wind farms, which began producing powers in November and reached full capacity earlier this month. The energy produced will cover approximately 35% of the energy needs of the 5 oil and gas platforms in the North Sea. Their electrification by wind energy will reduce CO2 emissions from the fields by around 200,000 tons per year. According to Equinor, this represents 0.4% of Norway's total carbon dioxide emissions in 2022. Norway is targeting 30 gigawatt of offshore wind powers by 2040, which could double the country's current electricity production. And to close up this edition, China, it will deploy a network of 6,000 kilometers of railways lines in Algeria. The Algerian president announced at the beginning of the month a major program to build railway lines as part of an Algerian-Chinese partnership. This involves building 6,000 kilometers of railway lines from north to south and from east to west in order to establish a network of the national territory. The development of 6,000 kilometers of railways will allow Algeria to experience phenomenal economic growth. And this is the end of this edition. I wish you a great evening.